The following news flash is brought to you by the Lone Star Lowdown, providing your daily bulletins for the commodities market. Today in history, news updates, and the inside scoop into the tides of the alternative. Markets for Thursday, the 11th of February, 2016, are currently trading with gold at $1,246.26 an ounce, silver $15.76 an ounce, Texas crude $27.45 a barrel, and Bitcoin is currently sitting at about 376 U.S. currency. Today in history, Monday, February 11th, 1929, Vatican City is made the enclave, or a city-state within another state, of Rome via the Lateran Treaty. Fascist Prime Minister of Italy at the time, Benito Mussolini, agreed to giving the Catholic Church financial support in return for public support from the Pope at the time. In recent news, the four remaining ranchers, Jeff Banta, Sean Anderson, Sandy Anderson, and David Fry, at the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Oregon, who took control of the then-empty refuge 250 miles from Portland on January 2nd, demanding the return of the lands taken by the Bureau of Land Management and the pardoning of the two ranchers convicted of terrorism for setting controlled fires which spread to BLM lands, finally surrendered this morning after hours of negotiations with mediators. The occupation came to an abrupt end as Fry, the last to leave, threatened suicide on a live-streamed conversation with liberty activist Gavin Seam and conservative radio host Chris Ann Hall. A phone call Wednesday night between the protesters and the negotiators was also live-streamed and is available online. A jury in Nassau County, New York, convicted James Ryan today on 10 of 13 counts of vehicular manslaughter, criminally negligent homicide, and other charges, and acquitted him of the top charge of aggravated vehicular homicide. He now faces up to 15 years in prison when he is sentenced next month because his reckless driving, prosecutors say, caused a chain reaction crash. Apparently, Ryan's Toyota hit a BMW on the Long Island Expressway and then was hit by another car. A few minutes later, an SUV smashed into Ryan's car before fatally hitting a New York police officer. The results for the New Hampshire primary are as follows. For the Republicans, Donald Trump won with 10 delegates, or 35.3% of the vote. Doug Kasich was next with 4 delegates and 15.8% of the vote. Ted Cruz, 3 delegates and 11.7% of the vote. Followed finally by George Bush with 3 delegates, 11%, and Mark Rubio with 3 delegates, 10.6%. For the Democrats, Bernie Sanders won 60.4%, or 15 delegates, while Hillary Clinton only got 38%, or 9 delegates. This was your lowdown for February 11th, 2016.
Hello, everybody. This is Andrew Lucky Tree Lichtenberger coming to you live. I am here in Dublin, Ireland with my friends, David Burke and Elisa Wampole, and it is February 13th, 2016. I think we are now not time traveling as much as we were in Australia. Is that true, Ryan?
That is true. It is still Saturday, February 13th here. It's 2 o'clock. So you guys are just a few hours ahead. You haven't managed to completely time travel a full day. But yeah, it's beautiful again here in Austin, Texas. How is the weather there in Dublin? I hear it's been quite interesting so far.
I'm going to take a shot in the dark and say that it's colder. It's wetter. But it is a very joyful city, I must say. The Irish people don't take life too seriously. It's kind of a fun place to hang out, I'll be honest. And some nice vegan cafes around town we've been hanging out at and getting to know a bit of the community here.
Yeah, it was about, I think, 2 degrees Celsius when we arrived first day. So 0 degrees Celsius where water begins to freeze. And yes, my face was freezing coming out of the airport. It's not like being hit by the Irish wind. But the locals did say it was the windiest day they'd had in the month. So it's been a little bit better last couple of days. But Ireland is very, very green. You can see why they have the color green in their local dress and their celebrations, because there's green moss everywhere.
Yeah, when I think of Ireland, I think of green and shamrocks and green everything. And there's moss that grows everywhere. Maybe that's why Ireland is associated with green, because it rains so much. There's just moss all over the buildings and on the road, and and lots of foliage.
Yeah, and Ireland, it actually really reminded me a little bit of New Delhi in India. And it's kind of interesting because ancient Celtic and ancient Sanskrit languages have so many similarities that a lot of scholars argue that it came from an original language. And we're in New Delhi, you'd have all this traffic going around. The people just walk straight through the traffic because the people have the right of way. And the same thing in Ireland, you're driving through Dublin and like people just walk straight across the street. They didn't really look for cars. And like, you just got to be really careful. You got to develop a sixth sense. There might be a bike rider, a person pushing a tram, and 3 people walking across, where it just says don't walk.
As David was parallel parking today, a lady walked right behind his car. And like, I don't know why. Like, I just can't imagine like what possesses someone to do that. But
although I have
it's
seen
culture.
Yeah, it's really interesting, you guys, if you get a chance to look up in China sometimes. I've seen some very interesting videos on YouTube where like a car will be stopped and someone will like run up into the car and then start like jumping on the hood or like hitting the windshield, pretending like they got hit. And these videos are hilarious because these people all have dash cams. So you see someone come up, like jump into a car and like fall down, pretending like they're hurt. I think probably it's either get like financial awards or, to try to sue the person. But the ones that they're putting up obviously have dash cams. So it's just pretty hilarious to see.
Yeah, they're definitely not doing that in Ireland. They're just cold. And I think they're just like, you know what? I just want to get across the road. The wind's too bad today. It's not summer.
Yeah, it's not a malicious thing. It's it's not even really careless. It's done with intent.
I don't know. Yeah. I was driving today and this bicycle, I didn't know what to do. He was coming straight for me head on, just not even looking where he was riding his bike. And I was like, David, he's coming right for me. What do I do? And then he looked up because he wasn't even looking at me at the car. And then he looked up and kind of swerved back into his lane, but he was literally crossing the lane. It was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they just don't pay attention. They just expect that no one's going to hit them.
Yeah. I mean, I know in Austin, there's been in Texas, there's been those YouTubes of showing people that have gone across the street without using the crossing, and police officers like beat them down and arrest them and beat them up severely. Like here, there's 1,000 people crossing the road any way they would like. And haven't seen anyone get injured yet.
Yeah, I spoke to one of my friends, a poker player who is currently residing in Dublin with his Irish wife. I asked her, like, hey, what's the deal with like the pedestrians just like walking in front of cars? And she's like, oh, well, the pedestrians come first. And it's just kind of the mentality that I guess the Irish people have. That about sums it up.
And on the show today, we're going to go into some of the topics of acoustics, resonance, sound, music. So we brought on today one of our friends in Austin, and who's got his ear on the independent local music scene. And for our listeners around the world, a lot of people may or may not know, but Austin, Texas is the independent music capital of the US. There's more live music in Austin than anywhere else in America. They have incredible live music events, incredible local live talent, and they've got some great independent instructors. You can find our guest, and I'll let him introduce himself online if you'd like to learn a little bit about the Austin music scene or get some lessons in different types of music.
Yes, we have Jimmy Allison is on the show here, and let me give everyone his websites first if you want to check him out. The first one is, I believe, luxdivon.com, luxdivon.com. Next one is rentakmusic.com.
Oh, Rentak.
Rentak, rentakmusic.com. And the last one is austinabletontutor.com. That's AustinAbletonTutor.com. And so, Jimmy, say hi to everyone, and I guess give us a little background about how you got started in this and what you're doing now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Jimmy Allison. I'm an Ableton certified trainer in Austin, Texas. Teach music production, DJing, visuals, live performance, and all of that online and locally. Basically, I've been a musician most of my life. I started playing guitar when I was like about 14 after a jump through a bunch of other instruments. And that was like a while ago anyway. And I just kept moving along and playing in bands, then started playing bass because I couldn't find a good bass player to play with. So then I just fell in love with bass and then played in more bands. And then the last notable band I was in before I went electronic was Love Bucket. And we did a lot in the local scene, the local like punk and metal scene. We weren't really punk or metal, but we were sometimes. And then after that broke up, I decided I wanted to go solo electronic, but I ended up meeting this girl, Carrie, who had a project called Lux Devon, and I joined that project, and we sort of made a duo electronic project out of that. We were both influenced a lot by Lamb and a bunch of other acts. I was also influenced by like Red Snapper, and we were both influenced by Medeski Martin Wood and different. Not that Medeski Martin Wood's electronic, I think it's just just an influence. And then from there, we did a run on that, and eventually I kind of got married with her, and decided to put the project on hold after a while. And I started a solo project called Rentac, which is I DJ, and I started DJing at that point too. So now I'll DJ and perform live electronic music with a lot of focus on jungle drum and bass, really getting into the halftime stuff that's like on Samurai Records and Samurai Music Group and Exit Records. A lot of stuff coming out on that label. Like Consequence is one of the ones I've been listening to a lot lately. Really getting into that. And at some point, like when I got in the lab, I used to be a hardcore video game addict. And I transferred that into my music production. So 10, 18 hours a day. And then I started teaching. That's pretty much my story on the whole thing. I started teaching, started the Ableton User Group in Austin, got certified from Ableton, made it my life. So that's pretty much me.
Actually, do you have any shows coming up?
Actually, I do. I have one at Flamingo Cantina next Thursday with the Smoke Sesh crew. I'm going to have Dr. Dubus emceeing, Dosage, and Shark Week will also be there. That's their night, and it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to play a lot of new stuff.
So a question, Jimmy, for our listeners around the world. Can you explain a little bit what it's like living in Austin, Texas, with the Austin, Texas music scene, and for people who are really into music, when should they visit Austin, or what should they check out, or how do they like get to see some of the local live bands? Give them the lowdown on Austin, Texas.
Well, Austin's a lot of fun. I've lived in a lot of places, and I kind of got rooted here like 20 years ago. The music scene's changed a lot right now. There's just so much. I think the best thing to do is just go out and just go with the flow. You just go downtown, follow your ears, follow the flow. Depending on the kind of music you like. If you're more into electronic music, you're going to want to check out places like Plush, Empire Control Room, ND, Vulcan Gas Company, Barcelona, places like that. If you're more into like live music, you want to check out different venues. Like, it's funny, I haven't really been going to live shows a lot lately. Flamingo Cantina is a good one. The Parish has a good mix of music. Lots of local artists. You could just wander around. I think if you're in a place and you're hearing covers, you hear songs that you've heard before, you should probably leave and go somewhere else. That's my suggestion if you come to Austin. If you hear stuff you've heard before, go somewhere else.
There's a lot of creative people in Austin coming up with their own unique music. So I guess that's one of the things that's so amazing about Austin.
And Jimmy, in Austin, there's some big music events. When are what's the ACL, and like how to get started? Is it worth going down there for a look? What are your thoughts on it? We've got a break coming up in about 30 seconds. So can you give us the lowdown on the ACL?
Like ACL Fest or ACL taping?
The festival.
Festival?
Yep.
That's pretty awesome. I'd say it's a good time to go. I mean, it's not really a local event. It's more of like bringing a lot of national acts.
Cool. We're coming up to our first break here. Stay tuned for Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior here on the Logos Radio Network.
This is the Logos Radio Network.
I found immortal Student of the art of war, slayer of the mode of ignorance, I follow the immortal path, meditate on the formless form, student of the healing way, the Dharma will is hidden, the golden age is frozen, the Dharma will is hidden.
In my death is my beginning, in my beginning is my death. The circle of life is never ending. Each life journey on intention depends.
Hello, this is David Burke, live from Ireland, enjoying the luck of the Irish, and with my friends and spiritual lovers here, Dr.
David.
Elisa Wampole, Andrew Lichtenberger, and Ryan Mutzel, and our guest Jimmy, all spiritual warriors. And we want to chat a little bit about, first, let's get to that ACL question, because a lot of people around the US and the world hear about the ACL. It's heavily advertised. Can you give us a lowdown on what the ACL is and what it's about, Jimmy?
ACL is basically a 2-weekend festival now. It's huge. And they bring in all kinds of national talent. It's just a massive festival that happens at the park down, pretty much real close to downtown Austin.
How would you compare that to EDC? Have you heard that Electric Daisy Carnival they have in Vegas?
No,
Is that pretty similar?
Honestly, of all my years of being in Austin, I've never been inside of ACL, and I've never been to EDC either. I've pedicabbed ACL a lot, and I've made money off it, but I've never actually gone to ACL. There's other events I'd like to go to more than ACL that happen around in Austin.
It seems like it's been very corporatized, from my understanding, having C3 now in charge of it. And
I think C3 always had it.
Yeah, the way they've I think they've partnered up too with who's the main group, Live Nation.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so I think it's Live Nation and C3, two of the biggest live music groups now putting it on. Obviously, the goal maybe not as much trying to promote local music as it is to try to just get people through the doors and make money from these larger groups.
Yeah, it's a good party. I mean, I don't think anything against it. It's just they just throw a big party. They bring a lot of that talent.
Sure.
It's not necessarily focused on any local music or anything like that.
So what are some good local music festivals to check out in Austin, Jimmy?
I'd say Art Outside, Euphoria, Head for the Hills, Fun Fest. Well, Fun Fest is, I think, a nice mix of, they get a lot of local talent in there. They get a lot of mixture of more of what I'm into, basically, heavy metal, punk rock, electronic music, hip hop. I mean, they do all of that at Fun Fest. I think, and that's by Transmission Entertainment.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, it's fun and fun.
fun.
And it's grown a lot too. Then of course there's South by Southwest, which I think South by is amazing, and it's another one that's grown to massive corporate entities and this huge thing. But I mean, it's a big giant party. I mean, it's a party. It's fun. It's you can complain about McDonald's having a showcase all you want, but at the same time, you can come basically to Austin, find a place to stay, bring no money, and just run around and have a good time. You don't even need a wristband. You don't need anything. You can just go have fun, and there's plenty of things to do. So, or you can get the badge and go do all of that too. But it's just an amazing event.
I agree. Some of the most fun I've had during the festivals here in Austin have been some of the, I guess, after parties during the shows where I get a phone call from someone, one of my friends, hey, we're all going over to this house, and then all these famous local musicians or whatever show up, and people just get together and play, and it's a pretty amazing time to be there. You don't necessarily have to go to the really expensive route and try to go to the mainstream stuff. There's just so many other side things that I think if you tap into the community here, you have a really good time.
It's amazing. I think the best thing is just go with the flow. Don't try to, I have to go see, Flaming Lips because they're playing over here. I'm well, I mean, that's cool and all, but there's a lot of, at South by, there's going to be a lot of people going to see that, and you might not get in. You're going to wait in line. It might not be all that awesome. And then it's a short show, or you can just go with the flow and see some amazing things that you've never seen before.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, so the music that's been playing between the breaks and on the lead into the show, that music was all made by yours truly and David and Andrew with the help of Jimmy, who tutored us in Ableton and how to use Ableton for about a month, right, guys? Was it a month?
Yeah.
Every day for a month.
Every day for 3 or 4 hours, yeah.
They told me about this project.
You guys are dedicated.
Yeah, they told me about this project. I was like, so you guys want to, you have very little musical experience. At first, they made me think they had zero musical experience, but I come to find out there was actually some in there.
There was a little tiny bit.
There was some in there. And they're we want to basically, make a bunch of songs and perform it live at a show that we're having at the end of the month. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And it did it. It pulled off. It was amazing. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
It was a lot of fun. I learned so much about music and kind of, I guess, the nuts and bolts of how songs are put together and how, the essence of music, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a really life-changing experience when you start to understand music, how to compose it, resonance, what sounds good, how to match beats, rhythms, your voice, what is it you want to communicate to the world, all these incredible things. And it's being with a group of positive people and you're there to create. And it's like, how do we all kind of bring our personalities to get across a message that can inspire and be a lot of fun?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. To my friends who ask me about it, I kind of describe Ableton as Photoshop for music.
Exactly how I would describe it too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and Jimmy was an incredible Ableton instructor. And actually, while we were in Berlin for the European Poker Championship, and congrats to Andrew, he had a final table there and played amazing. It was like a 3 days tournament, right, Andrew?
I made the final table on day 5, so it was a 5-day event.
Wow.
Pretty grueling. And funny experience.
Yeah.
Headquarters.
So we thought we'd make Jimmy proud, and Jimmy was kind and awesome enough to give us an intro to the Ableton headquarters, which is in Berlin, Germany. So as being the explorers we are, we jumped in a cab and said, okay, let's go see the people who put together this program that's just used by so many people around the world, and making music accessible for people to express themselves. So we go there, and Andrew's on day 4 of the EPT?
Yeah, so basically played 4 straight days of 12 hours of poker, and then I had an off day before the final table, and for whatever reason, we're just up early and, decided to take that day to go to see the Ableton headquarters, and arrived and met the owner, who was very kind and generous, and then just started kind of feeling lightheaded, and I was like, oh man, this is an unusual feeling. And
yeah, so we're upstairs in the Ableton. We're getting a tour of the whole Ableton headquarters,
which was really nice, by the way.
Yeah, it's great. It kind of looks like a startup that's been going for a couple of years, but they've been around for a long time, and because they have a real kind of fun family community feeling to it. There's a big open space, and there's a stage, and there's some Ableton artwork, but then there's a community food area where everyone makes their lunches together and hangs out and chills out. And so the main guy is telling us about how it's founded, the process has gone through. And I look at Andrew, and there's he looks kind of gray in the face, all the blood is out of his face, and he just says, "Oh, where's the bathroom?" And I'm like, "Oh man, maybe he's got the runs or something. What's going on with him?" And so the guy tells him, "Oh yeah, the bathroom's over there," and the guy points in towards his right. His bathroom's over there. Andrew nods his head, and then he starts walking, and Andrew starts to go to the left and bangs into all the furniture and nearly falls over and passes out. He didn't pass it, but he felt extremely lightheaded, and the guy was just looking at us is that guy okay?
Yeah, from my perspective, everything went white, and I wasn't sure if I was about to pass out or becoming enlightened, but turns out it wasn't quite the latter. I guess I'm one step closer than I was.
Coming up to our break here, so stay tuned on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. We'll be back with more music with Jimmy.
Hey, wipe that grin off your face. States across the U.S. are officially forbidding people from smiling when they get their driver's license photos taken. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, back to tell you why the long faces at the DMV. Next.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
If you're applying for a driver's license in a growing number of U.S. states, don't even think about smiling. A big grin in your photo is now considered illegal. That's because smiling defeats the software they use to map and measure people's features for facial recognition. Officials say they're preventing identity theft by comparing new license photos with existing ones. But of course, once they've got your scowling mug in their database, they can use it to track you. All police need to ID you in a public place is to snap your picture on the street and compare it against what's on file. How long does that take? The answer, 1 second. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
You're listening to the Logos Radio Network at logosradionetwork.com.
You are never alone.
I turned right. The Archons are hacking the bio.
Hello and welcome back to the show. So we were just before the break talking a little bit about our visit to the Ableton headquarters in Berlin, which was really cool and they were really nice. And Andrew was playing 4 days in a row, 12 hours a day, and basically went blind and passed out and walked into the kitchen
What a great way to leave the
stove.
story.
But what was kind of like bizarre about it was, so the Ableton manager pointed to where the bathroom was, in the right direction. Andrew looks at him, nods his head like he understands, and he takes him to the left direction, bumps into 3 tables, and then Elisa goes over and holds him and guides him to the bathroom. And the Ableton guy says, "What are you guys doing in Berlin again?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a poker tournament." And he's like, "Man, it must be stressful." I'm like, "Yeah, it is."
Yeah, I was really trying to hold it together, but everything went completely white. I actually couldn't see anything. So when he told me yes, it's over there, I just, I started walking. I was just hoping, it's a statistical improbability that you're going to get it right, but you have a chance.
Yeah. And that's just the thing, when you've got to play so much, I mean, it's like cramming, your finals for 4 days straight. So, you see a lot of times in poker tournaments. I know when Andrew played Heads Up with Eric Seidel, they were started at I think around noon, and we're at 10 in the morning at the Aria. And you can see Eric; he's a great player, but you can see he just kind of hit the wall. It was just his mind just said time to go to sleep. And Andrew came through with the victory on that one after taking some super herbs and getting some qigong massage and just blasted through.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. Didn't hurt that I got dealt some great hands too, but in many ways, I think being in that state of mind and being able to manifest such an experience go hand in hand.
Yeah, and the music they just heard coming on the show, that was one of the songs we did with Jimmy, and we've actually got a lot of great feedback from that song, and we're looking forward to doing a lot of more songs. We're actually looking at putting together a concert with our artists around the world and independent artists in Austin in August. It's going to be just before the World Health and Fitness Championships, which is going to be on the next day. And with this song, it was a great piece of work where we're able to kind of get that vibration of people uplifting themselves and standing up and getting out there and being empowered.
Yeah, most definitely. I really enjoyed the concert experience. I'd never done a live performance before, and it was cool seeing how the crowd responded to the music. I didn't really know what to expect. I guess I didn't really have any expectations, but just getting up on stage was a little nerve-wracking for me, despite the fact that, done it before for poker.
And you've been on TV numerous times. And
yeah, I mean, to a lot of people, maybe they think playing for a lot of money in a poker tournament's more nerve-wracking than just getting up on stage and singing, but it's all comparative,
Yeah, and it was pretty wild. We actually had 5 songs, and we had a local yoga and aerial team where we choreographed the dance performance that was a part of a story that we had, and the story is someone sits down and meditates, and they decide to choose goodness, and so the dance choreography was this battle that goes on within ourselves, and then the good habits overcome the bad habits, and the person achieves their enlightenment and their peace in the world. And it was really incredible. After the performance, a couple of people came up and were crying and just saying how much they loved it and giving you hugs. And you really, for a moment, just see wow, music is such a powerful medium, and dance, it's such a powerful medium to share with people.
And
That's
what's
true.
really...
I was just going to say, it's 4 Elements Austin, if anyone's looking. They're the ones who helped us with the choreography on that. So that's 4elementsaustin.com. So what were you going to say, Lisa?
Yeah, they were really nice. What I was going to say was the one thing I really enjoyed about learning to use Ableton is that you don't have to know how to play an instrument to create music. And because I'm one of those people, I love music. I can hear it in my head all the time. And I learned to play some instruments when I was younger, but I never really pursued it to any large degree. And so with Ableton, you don't have to be able to play an instrument. I mean, it definitely helps if you know how, but it's an option for people who want to get into music that just want to dive right in and start creating without taking the time and the years it takes to master a particular instrument.
And Jimmy, we'd love to hear some of your songs. And Ryan, can we have Jimmy put on one of his mixes he's been working on?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see, Jimmy. Are you ready to go here?
One second, we get queued up.
Alrighty, we'll get Jimmy set up here. So, yeah, definitely. We do have that show coming up that Dave was mentioning. It's going to be the weekend of August 27th and 28th. So stay tuned for that. And we're looking to do, a huge festival with music. The culmination being the bodybuilding fitness figure bikini competition that Sunday here in Austin. And yeah, it should be an amazing time, just like we did last year at the Zach Theater. So, okay, here we go.
This track isn't even finished. Just a new track that I'm working on going into.
Do you have a name for this one?
Right now it's called D&B Glitchy Buffman. The last time I rented it out was to DJ with it. DJ Buffman. No, that's the next one is all this one.
I like it.
Thank you.
Yeah, very chill.
Yeah, it's like just new direction I'm going into. A lot of inspiration from the halftime. I'm really into like dubby kind of stuff. So this is it.
I like the beats.
Thanks. And one of the great things about Ableton is so much room to explore. Really explore sound.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you, Jimmy. That was a great song. We'll have some more songs with Jimmy here after the break on Nourishment for the Spirit.
The war of heaven descends to the earth, a time where the mind is defined and confined. We the people need to realign with the divine. A government for the people, by the people realigns. No more taxation without representation. It's time for the people to have their say, no longer the prey. Aligned with truth, there's nothing we cannot do. Divide and conquer lies and false promises. These are the archonic weapons of hurtful decay. The abundance of the earth is the perfect technology, and the golden age is now. Rise together as one in peace and prosperity. The archons are hacking the bio-internet, and the false light is blinding. Plugging into intuition, balance is restored. Drawing from love, fighting for freedom and liberty keeps the unity in the community. Good habits becoming better, refining the mind. Accepting divine impunity, we rise as one in unity. Life is a circle, life is eternal. The ancient wisdom opens the way. Together, we are the generation of the golden age.
All right, we are back here on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. It is Saturday, February 13th here in Austin, Texas. I'm here with Jimmy in the studio at the wonderful Brave New Books. Be sure to come down here, check out all of the Burke Superfoods products that are available here. Get yourself healthy. So you too can be like the rest of the spiritual warriors who are now in Dublin, Ireland. So before the break, we played a really cool song that Jimmy had just recently put together that's not even finished yet. So Jimmy, could you take us through a little bit about how you created that song, your thoughts going into that, and then I think where you could see yourself playing that?
A lot of that song, I experiment with working. Something I haven't been doing a lot in my musical careers is working with some like loops and stuff, some drum loops and some different sounds. So I did some experimenting with that and just chopping it up and then just kind of tweaking those sounds to kind of make them shape and fit and give them some of my, give them my flavor, and then adding different sounds on top of that to really just, different synthesizers. A new synth that I just recently got is one called Omnisphere. And it's an amazing software synthesizer that it just really got me, it came to me at the right time where I really wanted these like patty kind of ethereal things is where it's really strong at when you just start digging around and getting inspired. So basically, in my opinion, the songwriting process, it should be quick. If you're spending too much time worrying about the sound, that's not the time for that. That's a different time. The sound creation process should be done at a different time, totally separately than the song creation process. The song creation process, you get some music going, you start putting the beats together, you get some sounds going, you get your melody ideas, you just move along. And then also you don't want to get stuck in one section. You don't want to write an intro for 3 days and then you spend all this time in the intro and maybe make an awesome intro. And then you go okay, I gotta write the next part. And
and then you're stumped.
I don't even know what's going to go after this. I have no idea what I'm going to do. This intro is so awesome. Anything I do after it sounds horrible. So why do that to yourself? Sometimes I don't even write the intro. I start with a verse or a chorus or a melodic idea, and then I get 2 or 3 melodic ideas that go together, and then I start playing with their arrangements, and then I start it's like think of a sculptor. The sculptor takes a rock and then starts to chisel away the composition, the artwork. Well, as a musician, as a songwriter, first I build a rock. So first I create content, like elements, like drums and basses and melodic content that all kind of works together, that sounds like it could go together. It's in the same key and different things like that. And then I start chiseling at my rock. I pull out parts and maybe add in a little bit here, do stuff like that. So it's like a mixture of sculpting with, painting, a lot of artwork. So it's very similar. In a painter, you're going to want to do your underpaint, and then start building up off your underpaint, if you want to get your colors going. You also need a doodle, to come up with ideas and just think different things like that. So,
yeah, one thing I learned straight off the bat was laying down the beat was one of the first things to do when you're creating a song. And I wouldn't think that. Usually I think, okay, you're going to come up with a melody, but the drum beat was so important.
It's really important. It's important. I think it's important because when you come up with your melody, you have a tempo and a rhythm and a timing that you can develop your melody to. But at the same time, sometimes you come up with your melody first and it has a tempo and a rhythm and a timing, and then you come up with your beat next. So it just really depends on the right in the song and the mood.
True. When you write, Jimmy, do you normally have an idea or some type of message that you're wanting to express through the song? Or is it more like you just hear melodies or rhythms in your mind and you kind of create the song from there and then add the meaning behind it?
I feel like a lot of my music comes more from improvisation. So I'm big in improvisation, especially on my upright bass. And I've been in a few improvisational bands that all we did was improvise.
So you mean it just pops in and then you go with it?
Yeah, it doesn't pop in; it just comes out.
Okay. I guess that's what I meant. Yeah.
Yeah, it just comes out.
Spontaneous.
Sometimes you hear it, you hear what you want in your head ahead of time. But there's other times you play a note and then you play the next note and then you play the next note and then you hear one note and that from that note it tells you what the next note is to play, and you just kind of go with it.
I get it. It's kind of like I like to compare a lot of things to Tai Chi, but being in flow. And so when you're in a musical flow, like when I watch a band play or and they're improvising, it's like they're just very present in the music, and it's just like they're flowing with it, and it's perfect. It's like they kind of get into this flow of perfection, and it's amazing.
Yeah,
and I guess that's what a really good musician should be able to do.
Mm-hmm.
What venues around town could you see yourself playing that song at?
So I'm probably going to play at Flamingo Cantina. I'm actually definitely going to play at Flamingo Cantina.
This Thursday?
Uh-huh. This Thursday.
Cool.
Plush, Empire, any place that would let me play, basically.
Fair enough.
Did we end up going to Plush one time? I can't remember.
I think so. Was that the one with the food trucks outside?
I don't know. It's a small... Yeah, there's food trucks across the street. It's a really small, dingy, little, grimy bar. It's probably one of the best clubs in town for... it's been around one of the longer standing electronic venues in town too, as far as that goes.
And Jimmy, what is it about Austin you think that draws so much musical inspiration? I mean, everywhere you look, there's a musician somewhere or someone listening music or someone in a music. It's like it's a vortex place for, I don't know, where maybe all the musicians have to reincarnate until they get a label contract or something. What is it about Austin that creates this vortex?
I think it's a combination of things. One, the idea that Austin is the place to go for live music, or for musicians. You know, we're in Central Texas. Anywhere to get out of Texas is forever. You know, like it takes you like 8 hours to get it. I mean, to go one direction, it takes you 6 hours another direction, and 5 hours to get you into the water, 4 hours. I mean, there's nowhere to go. So a lot of the Texas people, you know, that are into music, well, they can go Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. I mean, there's not even much other big cities to go. So Austin's one of the big cities in Texas, and it's known for its creative population. The university, there's multiple universities, and the capital. You know, so it's just always been known for that. I think that's one of the things that attracts people here. It's a very fast growing city, apparently the fastest in the nation right now. The tech people have been coming here since the 90s, you know, if not sooner. I mean, when I moved here in 96, I mean, there was plenty of tech here already. And then it's just a creative hub where people trade ideas. But the thing about Austin and trying to like make it in the music business, and I've known this for many, many years. And in fact, an old musician told me this when one of my bands were forming. He's like, you know how you got to do it? And I was like, how's that? He's like, you guys form your band, get your chops up, get good, get seasoned, and then leave Austin. And then you will get a music career.
Interesting way to go about it. Yeah. So,
and I think it stands true. It's like, you know, in Austin, you're a drop in a bucket. You're just a part of a water. You know, you're nothing really special. Like I've seen so many amazing shows for like with just a few people there, and then you know because the people don't know about them, they don't go to support the local artist as much. Or there's just so much things going on. You know, there's so many things everywhere. So if you go somewhere else, you're special. Especially like when I've been on the road before as a musician, and being from Austin is pretty awesome. You're from Austin. Oh, like have your autograph. You haven't even heard me play.
Wow. Yeah. What other advice would you give to, I guess, people here in Austin that are, you know, interested in trying to support themselves in the music industry? Because it's changed so much now that, you know, many people are not selling songs or albums or all that. They're having to make money in other ways. What suggestions would you give them?
Well, if you're trying to support yourself as a musician in Austin, you're probably the wrong place. If you really want to live in Austin and try to support yourself as a musician, and you're not already a national act. I mean, I don't want to, you know, I hate to burst the bubble. Don't give up, by all means. You know, work your heart out. But you have to leave. You have to, like, you don't have to move away, but you have to get out of Austin. You have to go on the road and get known outside of Austin before Austin really pays attention to you that much.
No, that's definitely great advice.
And then if you play weddings, you can make good money. Like
that's true. Teaching, I'm sure too. You do a lot of teaching, obviously, through your websites, right?
Yeah, I do teaching. Yeah, I'm doing all right teaching, but I mean that's not playing music. I love teaching. I do teaching because I love it, not because it's a side thing of like, oh, I can't make money off music. I just do it because I love teaching. You know, I wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah, and Jimmy's a great teacher. So we learned so much in the months that we were doing our music.
Jimmy definitely put up with my incompetence of music in a very gentle, loving way. And
you're doing great. I mean, it's you got to start from.
Alrighty, we're coming up to our main break here after the hour. Stay tuned. More with Jimmy on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior.
Hello, everybody. This is Andrew Lucky Tree Lichtenberger. We are back live on the air, hosting the Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior radio show here in Dublin, Ireland. And before we get back into some music talks, just wanted to give a brief rundown of some of the beautiful cafes we've been experiencing here in Dublin. One in particular, which we most enjoy, is Happy Food. And Happy Food is an all-vegan cafe attached to a yoga studio. It's a 2-in-1 type of thing. The yoga studio is Yoga Hub, and it's a great little setup, great community. We're there this morning chatting with, everyone's really friendly there. You just kind of end up having group conversations with all the local guests dining in. And we're chatting with a guy, his name's Darren. He actually plays in a band called Moxie. I believe they're going on tour in Australia in March, he was telling us. And he's telling us about the accordion, how playing that works, and also giving us some fascinating insight into folding clothes. And it's a very thoughtful approach to some of the finer things in life, I suppose. He's saying that if you fold your socks by balling them up, it's bad feng shui for socks. So
they don't like it.
That's the Irish approach, I suppose.
Well, his comment was, they work so hard for you all the time, and when they're in your drawer, they're on vacation and they need a break. So don't ball them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the cafe, they have 2 studios. They have hot yoga classes. They have vinyasa flow classes. It's called the Yoga Hub. And the people there are super polite, super nice. Andrew, it's really true. You'll be sitting there having something to eat. Then all of a sudden you've got 4 or 5 people hanging out at the table you've never met before, but everyone just treats you like a family person. Just starts asking, how's the day? Did you have a good day today so far? It's really like just being a part of a little community.
Yeah, it's truly amazing, like the family feel and just the welcoming nature of the Irish people in general, and specifically at this cafe. And we had dinner tonight at another little cafe, Cornucopia, and
we got a new friend.
Yeah, it's so hilarious. So we're walking over, and I stopped into like a little spiritual bookstore to ask where the restaurant was, and the lady working there said, "Oh, it's just down the way. Like, turn right here, turn left there." I said, "Okay, thanks." And I missed one of the turns, and right as I was walking past it, this guy's like, "Hey, you're looking for Cornucopia, right?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Oh, I heard you ask for directions. You're going the wrong way. Here, follow me. I'll take you there." And ended up that he was from Slovenia studying Chinese medicine in Dublin, and we invited him to eat with us, and just made a new friend.
He had dinner with us and chatted about all these wonderful herbology things he's learning in school, and how he's just so excited about how Chinese medicine works. And he began in he was saying in Western medicine, and he just felt unhappy about it, and he got so excited when he met this professor who at his clinic had so many successful stories that he's like, he was actually flying in from Slovenia just to take classes every other weekend and just to look at the clinic success stories. And he just said, I really want to bring this back to my own country. So he's now living here and studying his little heart out and absorbing this information so he can go back home and share it with his community, because he's seen, how much pain and suffering has been eased through Chinese medicine at this clinic in Ireland.
Yeah, he was very passionate about Chinese medicine. Definitely a really dedicated student, I could tell.
Yeah, and just the people in Ireland, they really see people as a part of the community. It's like there's still about 5 million people in Ireland, but they really like to take their time and have a chat to you, a random person on the street, and ask, how are you? How's your day?
Yeah, philosophizing is definitely a pastime of the Irish people, and it's very evident when you go to places where philosophizing would be done, that that's what's going on, and that's what people like to talk about, a better way of life and how to just improve day to day.
Yeah, in Yoga Hub, it's all organic food, and they source their food from local farmers. And agriculture is, I think, the second largest industry in Ireland after tourism. And it's fascinating, how much Ireland has had an impact on the world. It's this tiny little island. And I was reading a book about, ancient theories on Ireland and why they consider Ireland to be the place of lucky people, the luck of the Irish. And this one folklore is that when the Great Flood happened, the biblical flood that happened around the world, Ireland didn't get touched because it was like a mountain. And all the people there survived, so they said, that's the luck of the Irish. And it's really fascinating to have these megalithic structures there. And there's one that's called, the Causeway of the Giants, and apparently it's where the giants would be able to cross. And there are all these massive hexagonal blocks, and they date very, very old and ancient.
And no one understands how they were possibly formed, because nature doesn't typically form rocks in hexagons.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those kind of ancient, mysteries or alien theories or something. And Ireland's just got so much folklore, and it's kind of interesting. Ancient Celtic is so similar to ancient Sanskrit, and when we look in these folklores, in ancient Celtic, there's these stories of incredible technologies. Like there was one of the guys in the story, he gets his arm cut off, and then they actually put a robotic arm back on his arm, and they grow skin back on the guy's arm. This story is hundreds of years old. And, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of just like the scene from Star Wars where, Luke Skywalker gets his arm cut off and they put another arm back on him. It makes you kind of wonder, whether that story, that folklore that everyone knows in Ireland might have been an inspiration of, the sci-fi of today.
Very likely.
And, and I remember Churchill, Winston Churchill, from World War II, he wrote a book about the Celtic people, and he was a part of, different Celtic organizations. And you get into these folklore stories, and they just got so much kind of unusual technology written in them. They talk about these flying ships that arrived, and they to Ireland, they broke this force field, and then there was this magical race that could do these incredible feats. They were kind of like describing like a sci-fi film, and they have these kind of like ancient structures of the Tara Hill that are so old and ancient, like these vortex energy areas, and they kind of look like other megalithic ancient structures around the world, like Stonehenge or those type of Leyland Point areas.
Yeah, I like the ones in southern Africa too. If anyone wants to look up Michael Tellinger, he has some amazing places down there where apparently the Abzu, if you want to look up some of Zechariah Sitchin stuff, possibly were living when they were here, and just some of the stone circles that are down there, and just some of the amazing different frequencies of energy that are just amazing. Especially anyone that's into music should definitely look into that. And we wanted to talk a little bit about Masaru Emoto, who just recently passed away on October 17th in 2014. But his work with the water crystals was absolutely amazing, where, he was showing where positive, really uplifting messages, if you put them on water, it would change the crystalline structure. So I know you guys have definitely looked into that more. I guess, Dave, you want to let them know a little bit more about some of the research he did?
Yeah, Dr. Emoto, he was a Nobel Prize nominated researcher. And yeah, as Rain was saying, like what he did was, and you can go online and type his name in, Dr. Emoto, E-M-O-T-O.
Yes.
And it'll come up and just look at some of the pictures, water and crystals. And what they did was, so they'd say the words like, I love you to water. And then they would freeze that water instantly. And they'd look under a microscope and had the most beautiful, perfect crystals. And then they would say like, I hate you to the water and freeze it, the water. And they would look under a microscope and that water would have these broken, horrible ratio crystals. And they began doing experiments where they would tell food that they loved the food, and the food would last, 2 to 3 times longer than food they told that they hated food.
Right. They would put 2 jars of rice in the fridge, and one of them would be the loved rice, and one would be the hated rice. And they would love and say positive things to one rice jar, and the other one they would say negative things to. And of course, the jar of rice that was hated turned black and moldy long before the other jar that was loved began to get moldy. So
yeah, when you begin looking at the human body and understand, the human body's crystal, blood is crystal, your bones are crystal, the whole body is like a crystalline antenna, and it tunes us into the spectrum of light: red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet. If it wasn't for our vertebrae antenna, our crystalline antenna, we wouldn't be tuned into this beautiful TV show going on in our red, orange, yellow, blue, indigo, violet light spectrum. And one of the fascinating things is a lot of rumors about the piano was actually the vertebrae placed on its side, and it was there to explain the basics of harmonics of the human body and how through resonance the human body was able to see, smell, taste, all these things, because everything is vibration, everything is harmonics. And so it's going to get us in our next part of the show, the light side of harmonics. That's the healing vibrations, the healing tones, the coherent natural vibrations that keep your body alive, healthy, empowered. And then also the dark side of vibration. Are people being manipulated by light and sound? Are they being brainwashed? What type of music affects the body? What type of sounds affect the body?
That's true. I mean, the human body is actually an average of 80% water. So if these water crystals are having that much of an effect based on what you put into them, that would explain why being around positive people and conscious uplifting people would make you feel better and can help you take the life on a better path, I guess. And just like Dave was saying, a great quote from Nikola Tesla, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. So we'll get back on that after the break.
Now.
You are listening to the Logos Radio Network. LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Hi, it's Amy from London, and welcome back to Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior.
All right, so we're going to get into the light and dark of resonance music and harmonics. I mean, this is such a huge subject. We could go on and on this subject for several days and be touching the surface. Because when you begin to, like Nikola Tesla understood, everything is frequency. One of the founders of the idea of the NSA, said everything is a signal. We need to track every signal. We're in this stage where the battle isn't just over the mind, it's also over the spirit. And the war ground is who can control the signal that enters the mind and the body. And what we're seeing is a battle that's been going on since the beginning of time. We have people who are with a moral compass, sharing truth and wisdom and love with the world and abundance. And then you've got the manipulators of the signal, making out lack, fear, pain, suffering. And going into this, I wanted to bring up some of the positive healing aspects of music and we begin to see why you really enjoy some music. So there's when we listen to a song like Amazing Grace, which is a pentatonic song.
Yes.
And it's composed this beautiful yearning feel, this feeling of positive vibration. And if you were to freeze that water, and you can look at it, Dr. Emoto froze that song, it has these beautiful crystalline shapes that, when your eyes see those shapes, you can actually, you feel the goodness in it. And then when we put these songs which are keyed in dissonant notes, and they are kind of like, very harsh and jumping all around. When we freeze that music with water, it looks the same.
Jimmy, what was the name of that chord that you were telling us, like the devil's chord or something like this?
Oh, it's the devil's interval. It's an interval. It's basically a diminished fifth. It's from root to a flattened fifth.
Okay, and what
really
is that?
Cool.
Does it sound kind of more dark or?
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. A long time ago, you used to get in trouble for playing in minor keys. I heard about some musicians would get hanged or whatever because they played in a minor key, and that the diminished fifth is considered the devil's chord. And if you listen to a lot of like metal There's a lot of that in metal, but it's like that dark, diminished kind of. It sounds, I like it. I enjoy that sound. So.
Yeah. And so as we talk about signal, now Ryan was bringing up the body has a lot of water. It's approximately, say, between 75-80% water. Now, there's an experiment done in a university in Germany where they took basically a large barrel of water and they placed a flower in that water. And then they got petri dishes and they put droplets of that water into the petri dishes. And under a microscope, every droplet made a full hologram of that flower. Now, think about that. Every signal that goes into your body is making a hologram in the water of your body. That's your memory. That's where people are now hypothesizing that the hard drive of the human body is actually the water. And now if you are putting constant signals of negative things, of pain, misery, destruction into your hard drive of your body, that's going to be running through your mind. It's going to be running through your cells. It's going to be running through your consciousness. And then you might start to feel
sad or angry.
And with this knowledge of we know how signal can make people feel, Elisa and I, we were invited to a mind control summit where it was a disclosure summit for trauma abuse victims. And there were testimonies from some of the leading signal warfare architects that have worked on Navy projects, military projects, Department of Defense projects. And one of these lecturers, his name was Dr. Robert Duncan.
He's a Harvard graduate, yes?
That's correct.
That's what it said on his site, yeah.
And he worked on government warfare and surveillance systems as an architect. And you can go to a website that has a bio on Robert Duncan. It's howtotameademon.com. That's howtotameademon.com. And actually at the Mind Control Summit, Robert's actually a big fan of poker. And when he played actually the summit was actually in Las Vegas. And he actually went and played a few rounds at tables in between, building weapons of mind destruction.
Mind control and destruction.
And his book is actually called How to Tame a Demon. He was great. He just had the book printed and he gave us a signed copy. And so I got to have a bit of a scoop on the information. But, the bio of Dr. Robert Duncan is he made statements where basically they put together architecture where they can trace every human person by their biosignature. So everything that exists vibrates. It has a unique signal. And every human, because our DNA is all a little bit different, we have this unique signal. And he said, basically, what you're able to do now with the technology that's created, you can triangulate and track people by their biosignal. And not only that, the technology exists in these ELF waves, these electronic low-frequency waves, where you can put signals directly into the mind and make people hear voices. You can put signals on a human body using cell phone towers, triangulating, that can begin to torture the person, cause them pain. And he was making statements where basically this technology is being used without really any oversight. And because the departments that are involved in these technologies are on such a level of secrecy, you can't get the victims of this type of warfare that's going on. There's a nonprofit in DC just on these subjects for people who are getting these type of attacks to try and get help. And you can't get into the courts, the testimonies and evidence of these things to be heard because they consider to be so classified.
And just people wouldn't possibly believe that these types of technologies exist. But Duncan is saying they do and that he helped develop them.
Quite true. Well, we're coming up here on our break. We'll get more into how to tame a demon here on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. Stay tuned after the break on the Logos Radio.
Coke and Pepsi aren't the healthiest of drinks, but they recently got a tiny bit better by changing a common ingredient consumer watchdogs say might cause cancer. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht, and I'll tell you what that controversial chemical is next.
Privacy is under attack. When you give up data about yourself, you'll never get it back again. And once your privacy is gone, you'll find your freedoms will start to vanish too. So protect your rights, say no to surveillance, and keep your information to yourself. Privacy, it's worth hanging on to. This message is brought to you by StartPage.com, the private search engine alternative to Google, Yahoo, and Bing. Start over with StartPage.
For decades, Coke and Pepsi have insisted their soft drinks are completely safe. Well, they haven't changed their story, but they are changing the caramel coloring that gives colas that rich brown hue because it may cause cancer. It's called 4-methylamidazole, and authorities in California say it's a carcinogen after high doses cause tumors in animals. Turns out that caramel coloring is made with ammonia and other chemicals. The companies say you'd have to drink 3,000 cans a day to match the study's doses, but they're changing their colorings anyway, nationwide. Now, if they just deal with all that genetically modified corn syrup. I'm Dr. Catherine Albrecht for StartPage.com, the world's most private search engine.
About chemtrails.
Live Free Speech Radio, LogosRadioNetwork.com.
Hello, and welcome to Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. I'm here in beautiful Ireland with my colleagues and friends, Dr. Elisa, Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger. We have a visitor, Amy Jen from London, and we've got our colleagues in Austin, Texas. Behind the desk, also we have Jimmy from Austin, Texas, one of the leaders of independent music in Austin. And just before the break, we were getting into the good and dark side of signals. Now, I was just talking about Dr. Robert Duncan. You can go to drrobertduncan.com, who's one of the lecturers at the Mind Control Summit that myself and Dr. Lisa were attending on the disclosure of weapons using basic acoustic signals to enter the mind and also to torture the human body. And
that sounds so lovely, David.
And according to some of the testimonies of these victims of this electronic stalking, they're saying that what it can be used for is assassinations. Now, they're saying that because they can put thoughts into your mind and torture you, some of these victims are claiming that they were being told to attack someone or to hurt someone, and that the torture would only go away if they did this thing or that thing. And the stories, were quite alarming, Elisa, you would say.
Yeah, it was really one of the strangest experiences I've had. Just being around so many people with similar stories, with something that seems so outrageous that you can't just discount it because they're all talking about the same thing, and just when you hear them speak, you can tell they've really suffered.
Yeah, they definitely suffered from something. And if you want to go online and take a look at the information that's available, you can go to drrobertduncan.com. And I know, Ryan, you were visiting and we got you a pass to bring into the disclosure of where mind control possibly may be at in the Department of Defense and the military contractors.
Yeah, that was a great conference. At first, I had thought that maybe just what happened the night before was everyone just watched the Zoolander movie too many times, and everyone was just telling the same story. But obviously, there's a lot of hidden truth in the Hollywood mysticism that is used to cast spells all over the unknown public. But the story that I believe was really interesting, I think it was Dr. Robert Duncan who had said that there was a girl who had hired, it was either him or someone he worked with, and was having the exact issues you talked about. And eventually they had tracked down a couple guys, right? And then they actually prosecuted them because they were putting these signals out there, and they actually were able to catch these guys red-handed.
Yeah, what they were saying was it was actually a doctor in Texas, and this girl went and talked to this doctor about the issues that she's having, and they set up surveillance cameras in her room, and they purport that they showed these people using this type of equipment, and they did attempt to have the people prosecuted, and they wrote a book about it, and we'll see if we can bring up the name of the book. that they wrote about. It was for sale at the summit. But, it's just a fascinating topic. Like we have all these cell phone towers around. We have all these cell phones. We know the brain operates using harmonics, using acoustic signals. The whole entire universe is a waveform. And it's almost like, there is that possibly there to hack this bio internet and put in there a false signal.
That is what pretty much David Icke says, right, in his book, that they're using the sound frequencies of possibly off-world planets to, put forth maybe a different reality from what is actually here. So it's definitely something that's being discussed, I think, more and more as people are realizing the ramifications of the effects sound can have in this universe that we are all participating in.
Yeah, and like for people out there who want to be really focused, whether you're doing an academic exam, whether you're playing poker, whether you are just wanting to get clarity, whether you want to write a book, a song, have some inner introspection, you want to work on your mindfulness, and a great technique that in Vipassana meditation that we love to share with people, the beginnings of it on some of our retreats is you write down everything in your mind on a piece of paper, and you circle all the things that are eternal, all the things that are positive. And that's the real you. That's the true you. That's the soul that's within you. And then all those negative things, that's not you. That's something else. And begin just focusing on those positive thoughts, those positive experiences, and work towards making that predominantly your life.
Yes, there's a lot of strange things going on out there. And because there's both negative and positive frequency, you're going to resonate with whatever frequency you're feeling inside. So being that these things could possibly exist or do exist, I think it's really crucial each day to mind the vibration that you're putting out. And that's why I always, every single day, spend at least a few minutes just getting my vibration correct, whether it's meditation, whether it's pranayama, whether it's just closing my eyes and doing positive visualization. I'm a really firm believer in starting your day out with the right thoughts and the right mindset, because I feel like no matter what's going on, whatever negativity is out there, if I'm positive from the inside out, I'm just going to draw a positive experience.
Yeah, and when you look at the scientific application of resonance, and now Ryan, if you want to bring up the definition of resonance, but to give the listeners a easy understanding. Now, if I have two pianos and I hit a note on a piano, and that other piano will play that note without me physically touching it, because the waveform goes over and through resonance it hits that other note, and they share the same frequency. They're in the same vibratory place. And you also notice that, like, say when you are singing and your voice bounces back from the glass, or the glass shakes, there's some type of resonant component in that. Now,
the definition of resonance that Dave was talking about is it's a phenomenon that occurs when a vibrating system or external force drives another system to oscillate with greater amplitude at a specific preferential frequency. And one interesting understanding that I have been looking into recently as a result of one of my classes at UT is strangely enough, and I think maybe Dr. Lisa could give us a little more info on this, but when females have their periods start actually resonating at the same time, and we were talking about how teammates on certain sports teams and females would actually start having their time of the month occurring all at the exact same time. And so if you want to take a real life example of resonance, I think that's a very interesting one right there.
Yeah, that happens all the time. In my experience, whether it's sisters or women that work together or whatever, they always end up cycling on the same menstrual cycle.
Yeah, and when we look at like all our modern day technology, it's all based off the principle of resonance, like Tesla understood. When your computer does an internet search engine, you type in the word, say, Apple, and the musical mathematical code through acoustics and resonance is sent out, and it bounces off all the other computers and comes back with those searches instantaneously. And now, with your own life, when you begin looking at, your spiritual resonance, like, why am I here? What am I doing? Why did today, I got a clamp on my car tire in Ireland because I was 10 minutes too early before the free parking, so rather give you a ticket in Iceland and just let you go about growing the economy, they actually put a clamp on your tire, which is just so stupid. I mean, I can't believe they consider themselves a first world car enforcement agency like I went to the medieval. They might as well just like cut
True.
the tie.
We're coming up to the break, Dave, but we'll finish that after the break here.
Listeners around the world, welcome back to Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. I'm here with my friends and colleagues, Andrew Lucky Chewy Lichtenberger in Ireland, Dr. Lisa Wampole, Amy Chen from London, and Ryan Mutzel and Jimmy in Austin, Texas. Now, just for the break, I was talking about, resonance and why, if all moments in life have a purpose, why does sometimes, stupid things happen? Like today, me getting my tire clamped.
And we had such a great day leading up to that.
Such
what
an incredible,
fun, laughter-filled day.
Yeah, well, the hour before was very laughter. Basically the free parking started in 10 minutes, and we parked in we didn't have euro coins to put in the meter, so we were like, okay, I guess it'll be fine. If we get a ticket, okay, because we just being tourists, we couldn't find a place to get change. So, I come back and they put a clamp on my tire, and I called and I say, oh yeah, you were 10 minutes before the free time for parking. There's no one's parking there. It's a Saturday. And I called them and they say, oh, we really don't have time. Someone will come within 24 hours to take the clamp off. And I'm like, why don't you just be like everyone else in the world and just give me a paper ticket and for the park infringement so I can go and grow the economy so I can do positive things for the rest of my day. And, the lady on the phone was just like, couldn't care at all. She's like, it's like I just told her that, the moon was purple. Well, maybe it has a purple atmosphere, but maybe, it sounded so foreign to her, and you ask yourself each day, why did I have that resonant experience? So when you begin seeing that, your body is emitting a signal and you are going to experience things that are within your resonant bandwidth, your resonant feelings. It's so important each day to get your own body vibration in the most positive resonant place so you can have more and more positive resonant experiences. Like if I fill up my heart with joy and love and positive feelings, now I'm like, what do I want to go experience? Well, I might go to a bookstore and I'll go and look in the section where it's about empowering positive things. And guess what? I'm going to meet other people looking for positive, empowering things. And then I'm going to maybe go to a food place with those people where the restaurant is positive, empowering. Then I'm going to go and create something because I'm feeling positive, empowered that makes life a better world. And that's where you begin having these resonance where there's no ceiling to the positive, creative, powerful experience you can have because nature is power. Nature is resonance. Nature is abundance, and you are nature.
That's true. And then if something does happen, like you get a boot on your car, you might be upset about it for a few minutes, but then you go home and you do a radio show and you have some laughs and you move on.
Yeah, and I look at why did that happen? I'm like, okay, the resonance experience was I was meant to have this happen so I could communicate a better way to work with giving parking infringements. Maybe I'm the ambassador of communicating to the government of Ireland that the best way to empower your citizens and teach people about how to park is just give them a paper fine and let them go about their day and grow the economy. Let's make Ireland the best wealthiest nation in the world, rather than like, oh, let's stop them for 24 hours from doing anything.
Yeah, I mean, stranger things have certainly happened. And it was actually our cab driver on the way back who told us that it is a private company that's doing the booting or clamping.
Yeah, so as many boots they can get on the ground.
Boots on the ground. Yeah.
The more money they make. It seems to be a little bit universal.
Very true. I think we have a caller here. Andrew, you want to switch over to see who's giving us a call?
Sure. Hello, guest. Who are we speaking with?
Hello, this is Austin.
Oh, hi,
Austin. Austin and Austin.
Hey, Austin.
Hi, how's it going?
Fantastic. How are you?
Great, thanks.
Hey, Austin, so Ryan is telling me, thanks so much for calling up on the show a couple of weeks ago. But Ryan's telling me you've got some pretty amazing announcements to make about this coming up World Fitness and Health show we've got coming.
Yeah, I'm really excited. The vegan beef team that I kind of pulled together when I was in Miami a few months ago for our last show last year in August, we had a show, and it was terrific. And the team is generating a lot of momentum, and we've got some new members joining. We did really well at the show, and I wanted to have a show here in Austin. And then talking with you and Ryan about the production you're having here in August, everything just lined up. It sounds so perfect. So I'm really excited about getting the team over here and getting into your show, because I think it's going to be fantastic. There's going to be a lot of like-minded people, a lot of really great vegan athletes out, on our team to show what's going on. We have about 15 people right now, it appears, that can help hit the stage and strut their stuff. So it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, and if you're listening to the show and you're a plant-based fitness enthusiast, please get in touch with Austin Barbich. You can, Austin, you want to give them your contact website? And so if they want to get involved in the vegan fitness team and compete at the World Championships and show the world, the incredible lifestyle choice and the power that comes with these choices.
I would love that. Yeah. There's 2 email contacts, or you can Facebook me as well. I'd love to get in contact with you that way so you can get more knitted in with the community of our team as well. My email is abarbisch@yahoo. And I can also be found on austin@bhfmag.com. Those are 2 emails. And my Facebook is Austin and my last name again, Barbish, on Facebook. You can just friend me. I'd love to take you in and show you. I have also the Vegan Beef Team page on Facebook, and that'll just give you a better idea of what we're doing. We're collecting some bodybuilders, some fitness and physique contestants, and all plant-based, and some are first-timers, and some are seasoned athletes. So what I'm really looking forward to is a nice mixture of, it has a lot to do with just the dedication to show the world, what we can do with our bodies with a plant-based diet, because it's done fantastic things for me. And I've got copious stories of some of my athletes, the transitions that they went through when they decided to go plant-based. So many things happened. The recovery's so much better. They're able to lift more weight, and they had a better time dieting for the show. And so,
and Austin,
really
I believe a lot of the plant-based team picked up quite a few medals.
Yes, we did. We won 2 pro cards. So at a show, when you win your weight class in whatever category you're in, and then you win all the other categories on top of that, like the other weight classes in a specific category, let's just say novice bodybuilding or open bodybuilding. Well, maybe an open bodybuilding. That's how you get a pro card. We got 2 of those, which is really incredible for 10 of us to go, just the 10 of us in a show of many. Because the show had, it's not a vegan show, it's any show. And that's what I want. I like to go to a show.
Yeah, and this show coming up, it's the AustinUniverse.com is the website for it, but it's actually the Universe World Championships with the INBA. It's one of the world's largest fitness competitions. And we had a great show. Austin was at our show last year. And this competition is drug tested at the Olympic Committee testing levels. So, if you are a natural athlete, if you want to compete with the best people in the world, and you want to make friendships, and there's also the novice sections where you just want to get out there and be motivated, then we'd love to have you at the show. Ryan is our event coordinator for the show. Do you want to give them details for the show, Ryan?
Yeah, right now it looks like the show is going to be the weekend of August 27th and 28th, with the finals that we're talking about, the bodybuilding, the fitness figure, bikini, taking place on August 28th. And right now it looks like we're going to be at the AT&T Executive Center for that particular finals event. But we are looking to have events all over town, a Ninja Warrior course, a shooting contest, triathlons, some martial arts events. So stay tuned to the austinuniverse.com website. That's AustinUniverse.com to find out more information and to stay tuned with all the events we're going to have. I think we're also going to have the Lucky Chewy Poker charity championships as well. And I believe last year we gave away over $10,000 in prizes, which everyone seemed to enjoy. So we're coming up here to the end of the show. So thank you for staying with us here on Nourishment for the Spiritual Warrior. Shout out to Austin. Thanks for calling in and your team representing there. Jimmy, thanks for being on. Say bye to everyone.
Thank you for having me.
And everyone in good old Dublin, Ireland, say goodbye to next week.
All right, guys. Have a good week.
Take care, everybody.
Take care, everybody. Love you.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.